Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. Preseason is done, we recap the last friendlies, and we preview the first match of the 2021 season. All that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Mark. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. First up, the full 2021 Atlanta United schedule has finally been released, and we have 14 national games on television. That's a little lower than what it is normally, but still a pretty high number, especially in the league for sure. But we will also, in terms of opening all 3 levels of the bends, have a couple matches that we will do that. They will also be nationally televised as well. That will be the Columbus match and the LAFC match. Of course, Columbus Crew won the MLS Cup last season, so that's seemingly is one of those bigger matchups that the league is going to prioritize. And then yeah, there's going to be a lot more intra-conference in 2021. With just a couple of West trips or playing West teams, and that will be Seattle and, of course, LAFC, as priorly said. So, it's going to be very Eastern Conference heavy, and yes, we will play, Orlando City few times. That's, I think, to be expected for sure. But it's also, we will be playing also Miami a couple times and Nashville and, of course, Montreal and Cincinnati in this as well. And so very, very interesting. We, miss out on Austin and their inaugural season. That would have been, I think, pretty interesting to see the Five Stripes play the Five Stripes. But unfortunately, we won't see that. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting schedule indeed. There is going to be a lot of fixture congestion in June, in July, in September. It's going to be pretty gnarly, but there'll be lots of Atlanta United games, hopefully, pandemic willing. But gotta ask, Mark, which ones are you most looking forward to?
Because there's a good list to choose from. I do think it's intriguing that we play a number of teams 3 times. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams adjust to us and we adjust to them. In terms of what I'm most looking forward to, in terms of the home slate, certainly that Columbus match jumps off the page. Playing the defending champions, playing Darlington Nagby. It would be nice to see him return to the Bends. But I think that Orlando match, because we only have one Orlando match at home, and that's going to be on September 10th. It's a Friday night, so hopefully folks can make it to the game. I may have to put in for time off of work. Definitely will try to make that. And then just on a personal note, the DC match away. It's the end of August. It's like my birthday week, I guess. And it's always interesting when Atlanta United plays DC. So for me, I think, those are the ones I'm most looking forward to. But in general, it's interesting schedule. Like you said, Eastern Conference heavy. So it's a little unfortunate we don't get to play some intriguing opponents like Portland or, you mentioned Austin, LA Galaxy. I have Greg Vanney running the show now. So be interesting to see how they do in the league. But we won't get to see them, but at least not versus Atlanta. So, but yeah, overall, still an interesting schedule.
Yeah, no, good shouts for sure. Definitely for me, LAFC is that big one, probably a litmus test around that time. So that should be a fairly interesting one. The Columbus one, I agree as well. But for me, I think it's going to be another one of those away days, hopefully, at Nashville. That will be a lot of fun if, all is well at that point. So, yes,
right.
Another one of those kind of trips to one of one of more of my favorite cities in the United States. I think I would enjoy that again. But if in the audience, if you're on YouTube, let us know which matches you're looking forward to the most, for sure. But let's get to the friendlies against Birmingham Legion. That they were 70-minute friendlies, 35-minute halves, but not the most eventful, I would say. But pretty dreary day to or pretty much dreary weekend, I would say. And it led to a lot of puddles on the pitch, a little sloshy, not the best conditions, but possibly something that we might have to be kind of looking forward to possibly against Costa Rica, where I'm sure they'll make conditions as difficult as possible for us. We're probably one of those teams that would prefer to play the ball on the ground, and we'll see what Costa Rica with Alajuelense does. But yes, basically, our lineups were very interesting indeed. Definitely more of kind of a split squad again. You'll see these up on the screen. But basically, we had some old friends in J.J. Williams start, and also Anderson Asiedu, our former Super Draft pick. J.J. Williams seemed to have a little vendetta, probably more so because he was kind of cut from the team pretty much, and he probably he was getting stuck in, that was for sure. And
we remember that, right, from MLS's back. We know about JJ Williams getting stuck in.
Yeah, on the pitch for like a couple minutes and gets a red card. So yes, he's doing what he does there. But unfortunately there was a clash of heads, and Miles Robinson did go down at the end of the first 70-minute friendly, but he got back up. The end of the match pretty much was right after that, and hopefully he suffers no effects. But also, there was that second 70-minute friendly, and that ended 1-0. The first one ended 0-0. But, not much going on there either in terms of, not a ton of chances apparently. And unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, only a defender scored, and that was Anton Walks, with that goal being assisted by Mikey Ambrose. Kind of maybe he was in the way of the the ball and just kind of deflected it in type of, or was able to kind of steer it in that way, and, it works out. But pretty much, 1-0. Both of them, maybe not really, really fantastic performances, at least from just what we've heard. That was Doug Roberson of the AJC tweeting that out. And so it is one of those. There were some seemingly good performances. Mulroney kind of ran rampant again on the right side. That was good. Moreno as well on the left side, kind of pretty much showing what he's been able to do all of preseason. Pretty much just dribbling past dudes and taking dudes' souls. But pretty much that is preseason done, and all eyes are on April 6th for that Alajuelense Champions League match. But they're also in that little bit of a squad update. Matias Josetsu is out. He went back to Brazil, and it was for personal reasons, but he had been injured 2 weeks ago, and so and that was like pretty much last week when that was reported. So it's been, probably a little bit of time now. He probably will be on his way back, but probably will be a little bit behind in his match fitness. And also, Alex DeJohn was injured last week. He did not take part in in these friendlies. Josh Bauer, the super draft pick from this season, did, and apparently did pretty decent. So, DeJohn might return next week, and so, yes, there will be some center back depth, hopefully, because, yes, definitely having Campbell and Josh Bauer start, Campbell, obviously, great prospect, but is he going to be, an out-and-out starter? Not yet, probably, but hopefully, he does get his bearings underneath him. But Josh Bauer, very much, still probably going to need a lot more game time and seasoning. But also, interesting to note, he had played for the Birmingham Legion last season. So, there is a little bit of that. But you have any takeaways from these friendlies? I mean, this is just... yeah, go ahead.
Well, for the Birmingham one specifically, it's hard to really have any takeaways when you couldn't actually watch it, right?
Right.
So I guess the most important thing is that the squad comes out of there fit, and again, mentioned, hopefully Robinson is doing okay. In terms of the preseason overall, from what we've been able to see, I think we've seen some of those principles of Ince starting to take place. Obviously, it's going to be a work in progress. I think we're definitely gonna have to have patience with the team, and especially early on. But you always have to have that caveat about preseason anyway. Even if we were playing, able to play other MLS teams or higher quality opponents, at the end of the day. At this point, I'm just excited to see us play some real games, and to see what this team is about.
Right. Because, definitely, even if we were blowing out teams like, 14-0 or anything like that, it would be, that's a little reference if people were paying attention to some international score lines. But, it still wouldn't really matter. It's just one of those that, preseason is preseason. You're just pretty much getting your match fitness underneath you and getting the reps in. But yes, it really will have to ramp up very, very quickly, very, very soon. And so, but speaking of international things that were happening, so there was a writer in the name of Doug McIntyre who tweeted this out after the U.S. Youth National Team U23s went down and did not qualify for the Olympics. But he said, if Atlanta United refuses to release players for Olympic qualifying, that's its right. But when the tables turn, U.S. men's national team should take every American on Atlanta's roster, including all three keepers, for the entirety of the Gold Cup. And for the context is that Miles Robinson and Brooks Lennon and George Bello were not allowed to go, were not, released to go by Carlos Bocanegra and the technical staff for, I think, obvious reasons, but also, he mentioned it in that the quarantine process with COVID as well would have been a large part of that decision-making process in that. And so, there's that large reason that if they even had time to return, it would be, still they would not have been able to train with Gabriel Heinze when it's a new coach. We have CCL coming up. Also, other teams that are in CCL did not release their players either. So it just seems very strange that we got pinpointed as the team that, didn't release our players when, there are other teams that obviously don't do this in a not mandated kind of international friendly window. And so it's very much seems very petty from a lot of people. He's not the only person. But, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because there were a lot of thoughts all over social media.
Yeah, I feel like we could have a whole podcast about this whole Olympic thing, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, most important thing, it seems like he just bypassed the whole COVID and quarantine process thing. We are still in the middle of a pandemic at the end of the day, and that just seemed like unnecessary travel. Furthermore, and I watched a clip from Herculez Gomez who kind of blasted how the U.S. went about this, but to expect to borrow a point from him, out of shape MLS players, to expect them to have a huge impact, right, in this tournament when you had players from Honduras and Mexico who were in shape and in season and in form. I think that probably played a played a big part in the failure of the team. Not to mention that this team is managed by Jason Kreese, right? Like, we're supposed to take it seriously, but then you hire this twice sacked former MLS manager to run the team, like,
who's done really nothing in MLS, and is pretty much an assistant coach right now with Inter Miami. But yeah, go on.
Like, imagine Darren Neals and Bocanegra sitting down with Anstey and saying, look, you know, we know that you're building an important project, but we think Robinson and Bello would do well to, you know, play a few weeks with Jason Kreese. Like, no, come on now. That's ridiculous. There's so many things about this to me that take that just didn't make sense. And then the fact that he, like, Miles Robinson, you know, went to Twitter and expressed his disappointment. I understand where he's coming from, right? I'm sure he would have wanted to be there for the guys and would have liked to have that opportunity. But then, like, this Doug character quote tweets him, and I was just like, I just think he's a huge dweeb for this. I really do. Like, there's no other word I have for it. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous take. European teams do not release players for the actual Olympics. Paulo Dybala wanted to play for Argentina a few years ago, and Juventus told him hell no. But MLS teams, right, who are gearing up for the start of a season, some of those teams gearing up for the start of Champions League are expected to release starters ahead of the season. No, nothing about that makes sense. That's my take. Like,
and
you know,
yeah. To add all this as well, I mean, there's basically the fact that Miles Robinson, when he was training with the U.S. men's national team with Greg Berhalter, was forced to run wind sprints at midnight after a match, in which, in 2019 he had been playing the entire season. There was no reason for him to do that, and he got injured. We were affected in the playoffs, and we did not have Miles Robinson pretty much the entire playoff run, and we nearly made the MLS Cup. So still, you know, it's one of those that I think that weighs heavily in our minds for sure. We release players that we don't want them to get injured because they're not being really looked after. And then also the fact that pretty much it would be potentially 3/4 of our starting 11's defense pretty much away, learning from Jason Kreise. I mean, okay. Very ridiculous just to think about that. So, you know, there's just, I think, a lack of, context for a lot of people when they're thinking about this. And yeah, there's been some really ridiculous takes from all sorts of people that are, maybe some are Atlanta United fans, but maybe, you know, prioritize country over club. But for me, it's obviously, as Atlanta United fans, and yes, proud Americans, both of us are, it's still, I mean, let's be real, you know, like, they're being paid by the club to do their job, not have to, potentially, have a whole lot of issues, a barrage of potential issues going away on international duty. It's,
especially during this time.
Yeah. So it's, people are off their rocker. That is for sure. But we'll leave it at that. I think if more comes about in that type of, conversation, then maybe we'll touch on it in the future. But yeah, like you said, we could probably talk about this for a good long while, maybe a whole podcast. But we shall move on. And so speaking of COVID, the whole Atlanta United first team received their first COVID vaccine at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And as seen in this Vaccination Day TikTok by Jurgen Damm, definitely, something on Monday that they were able to do quite easily, quickly, pretty much a week before the first Champions League match. That is probably a wise point there because, of course, it was announced last week that adults in Georgia can and are eligible for the vaccine. So, it's also good to see the team being shown doing that too. Hopefully that convinces some people that are maybe on the fence, all that as well. But anyway, let's also move on then from there to a ticket update for the Alajuelense match at the Kennesaw Stadium at Fifth Third Bank. Basically, Atlanta United's Katie Griggs said on the season ticket holder town hall that there will be 1,500 tickets that will be made available for supporters for that second leg, but no details yet on how those will be distributed. So, yeah, we'll move on from that as well then to the U.S. Open Cup news. And yes, that it will go ahead in 2021 as planned, but they will cancel that first round. But the caveat here is that every MLS club will have a shot at playing, but it will only be the top 8 USA-based teams in points per game standings after the first 3 weeks of the regular season. And that's according to Sports Illustrated. So, very interesting there. People have to get off to a hot start. Maybe does not bode the best for us as we're still trying to get our bearings. But either way, yeah, what are your thoughts on the U.S. Open Cup kind of changing their format a little bit in this kind of pandemic-stricken, not so open U.S. Open Cup?
Yeah, I guess they're doing what they have to. You know what I mean? Like they're just making an adjustment. It's only temporary, so hopefully it's only for this season. Yeah, I mean it's. I think that the teams who are not in CCL maybe have a little bit of an advantage. We'll just have to. I mean, like 3 weeks is not much of a sample size, especially right at the beginning of the season. Like you could have some really wild results. So.
Yeah, if we're in like Frank de Boer form, you know, that type of thing, then yeah, we don't make it, you know, so.
Right, exactly. It'll be curious to see what they do in terms of like ties and all that as well. So,
yeah, those are your thoughts. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely going to be very interesting if the holders of the U.S. Open Cup do not qualify. Hopefully, we do, and so you know that's it'd be quite a thing. We make CCL through being the holders, but then we can't actually play in the next U.S. Open Cup. Yes.
Right.
U.S. soccer.
It feels like a compromise.
Yes. But anyway, so let's move on to some of the transfer rumors of the week. And Alan Franco, unfortunately, yes, tested positive for COVID when he arrived in the United States last week. But it was said by Matias Martinez that it did not jeopardize the operation or the deal. But yeah, Gabriel Heinze said also to the media that Alan Franco was signed 2 weeks ago. That kind of was debunked a little bit by the media. They were pretty much saying that it was still being finalized. But last night, on Tuesday night, that Matias Martinez reported that Franco did pass his physical, and that the deal for Franco for $2.8 million plus the 2 bonuses of $100,000 for an MLS Cup win, and if he makes the MLS Best 11, that would be on. And so, yes, Franco has been pretty much chilling at the Omni Hotel at the Battery. He's just at the gym. He's staring out of his window, and he's in quarantine until he can pretty much participate in training with the team. But it seemingly is going as planned in that sense that he's going to eventually join the team. So that is good. Any thoughts on any of this?
I love it when the manager just comes out and announces that a deal's been done. It's kind of like when Bielsa just tells you the lineup like 2 days before the actual game.
That will be just very interesting.
Directness.
Yeah, if Heinze goes along with that type of thinking, and like it's kind of that mind F if he actually like just does that for the opposing team and just like, yep, take it or leave it. This is what you're gonna get, and enjoy. But
right.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, all signs pointing in the right direction in terms of the Franco deal. So, as we said before, hopefully this is it. The news that he's passed his physical, given what's happened with the previous transfer, that's certainly, I think, very calming for a lot of the LA United fans, myself included. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just excited to see him. It seems like it's a stretch that he would actually be able to play versus Alajuelense, but hopefully he's there at the maybe week 2, week 3 of the regular season. Hopefully we're still in CCL at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's looking good. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So moving on, Chris Smith reports that maybe it's now later this week for Darwin Matias, the winger from Venezuela, from Zamora FC, that it might be announced. We'll see. It's been, yes, long and tough process. Still probably an Atlanta United 2 player for sure, because we don't have any international spots on the first team. But yeah, it could be finished up later this week, so we shall see. Yeah, there's this other ridiculous, silly season transfer rumor that Atlanta United are apparently one of 2 MLS sides that are in for Roma's Javier Pastore. Javier Pastore also, of course, played for PSG as well, but that's alongside FC Dallas, and that's according to Big D Soccer. But yeah, we don't have DP spots, we don't have international slots as well. He would probably, he's 31 years old, he's got 29 caps for the Argentina national team. Yeah, very difficult to see how this actually makes sense. I mean, he's an attacking midfielder as well. I think we've got some attacking midfielders, and yeah, do you see how this makes any sense?
No, none whatsoever. So, nothing about this transfer really fits Atlanta United's profile of how they go about players, or go about the transfer market, I should say.
Right.
It's kind of a blast from the past for me personally, because back when Javier Pastore was up and coming and with Napoli, Chelsea were strongly linked to him for an entire summer. And, they did the whole song and dance. Ultimately, of course, he ended up going to PSG. So it's just interesting that one of my teams are linked with him again. But yeah, there's no reason to believe that this will ever happen.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of unbelievability, I think, in this one. Just some dartboard action, I think, that we're very used to. We're, linked with some of the biggest players in the world at times now, and yeah, just
Right.
kind of how it goes. But yeah, let's move on to another Argentine in Santiago Sosa. He was speaking about his decision to come here, and he pretty much mentioned that Heinze was a very important factor in his decision, and he thought that to come here, knowing the enormous quality that Heinze had as a player, and to see how he's doing as a coach, it made him very happy, and it was an environment that he wanted to come to. So definitely, good to see that Heinze has that pull, which I think is obvious. He has had that pull for all of these Argentine players, I'm sure, that have come during this offseason. But yeah, definitely Sosa in this Marca article was mentioning also that he was very much looking to all of the competitions and in the CONCACAF Champions League, that he is definitely prepared and he's happy. So good to hear that Sosa is excited for this move. But let's move on to the really pretty much watching options for Atlanta United that have been a thing of contention for a lot of people. It's been difficult in the past year to watch our favorite club, but yes, Rob Usry on Dirty South Soccer outlined in a really, really good article that what you could do, what those options are. But I think largely because, there are so many issues with our deal with pretty much MLS kind of already, they negotiate kind of partially these deals already that we have to wait until it pretty much expires. So, but Bally has bought Fox Sports, and so it does kind of transition slightly just in name. But other than that, it's the same service, but it's getting harder and harder to watch these games, and that has been a large issue. He mentions some good things that it could be, if you have cable, then, it might just be cheaper to actually just get that, maybe switch over to maybe the AT&T or one of the other ones to be able to watch. Probably not ideal if you're a cord cutter, though, because, you probably have to have ESPN Plus and probably use maybe a VPN. He was alluding to this maybe in the article, but definitely, you kind of have to go some routes that, I mean, the VPN is legal, but there are also some other maybe slightly less legal routes that people have to go to watch these games. Either way, if you have questions about it, please let us know your questions in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer some of those. But basically, MLS is not making it easy to watch their clubs. That's for sure. So, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm a cord cutter, so I've definitely been having to consider my options. Like once Hulu stopped being able to carry the games, which was like right at the end of last season, I didn't even watch the last, I think, couple games it was. So, I'll just have to see. VPN sounds appealing. It's something that MLS needs to address. Certainly, although as you said, it's probably not going to be addressed for like another season or two. Once the TV deals across the country expire, and then they do at least the plan that they talked about anyway is doing the league-wide uniform TV deal. Hopefully, it'll be easier for MLS fans across the league to be able to watch their teams. I mean, there's been some crazy situations like. Inter Miami's fans, for example, the way it's laid out, the way the market's laid out, there are fans who are literally like physically close to the team that cannot watch the team. So, stuff like that I think
we have it
to be
too.
addressed.
Blackout issues for sure. So jealously, there is Orlando City having their pretty much kind of service that I think it's like less than $10 for the fans to just be able to watch the game on their website. Apparently, I think that's something that we need to do because we have a large fan base, and if the largest fan base in MLS isn't able to watch, well, then you have a flurry of issues, I think. So anyway, let's move on to a little bit lighter stuff. Joseph Martinez has gotten a new whip in this Lambo truck. Seems like it's the new Urus truck, and it's, I think, electric as well. Definitely a good looking car. He has, I guess, moved on from the the Mercedes-Benz that he had, but maybe he has all of them. Maybe he's just flavor of the day, possibly, but right. we'll see. But definitely a good looking car for sure. And then also Franco Escobar, he got some massive back tattoos of some Game of Thrones characters. And these with Daenerys, the dragon, Jon Snow. These are just off the top of my head, and I don't even watch the show, so somehow I know this. But
right.
That's just, I think, how big these characters are in the cachet of the, just media in general in the United States, so, and probably the world. But either way, yes, it's these are massive. They look good. I mean, I can't imagine how long these took as well, but
right.
He's got some time because he's got that that foot injury. But anyway, that does it for the news and gets us to our first match preview of the 2021 season, and it is against Alajuelense. And it will be on April 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time at Estadio Alejandro Morera Soto. And yes, obviously we have not played them before, but they are in scintillating form for the most part. They have drawn their last two matches, but that's because a lot of their players went on international duty, so that probably will weaken your squad a little bit. But
and they did win last night. They beat San Carlos last night 1-0. So
right,
got back on track a little bit.
Right, and so yes, there will be obviously they are playing also as Marc tweeted, not obviously, but if you were following Marc on Twitter, you would have seen that, yes, Alajuelense have and will play 2 matches this week. And pretty much that, I mean, gets them probably a little bit even more tighter in a sense. And we really have not played since Sunday. And so, yeah, they will be probably a lot tighter, and that will be unfortunate maybe. But either way, yeah, that makes their last 5 with 3 wins and 2 draws. So definitely, they are a team that is rocking it this season. They are top of the league. They are definitely, yeah, a tough matchup. Boca has said that, yeah, they're in good form. And Alajuelense, one of the most successful teams in Costa Rica and in Central America for sure. They've won 30 pretty much championships in their country. So that's a good bit. Although, you know,
Right.
they're it's like, yeah, maybe it's not the most competitive league, but it is still nonetheless very, very good record, I think, title wise. But this will be their 6th appearance in the CCL. They reached the semifinals in the 2014 and 2015 season. Really fun fact here is that their star striker, 20-year-old Jurgens Montenegro, we were ironically linked with him in the offseason, but that was incorrectly, as he only traveled to Atlanta to sign a new deal with his agents. But there was a little bit of speculation whether he was actually going to be maybe signed as a backup for Jose Martinez. That ended up being, of course, Licha Lopez instead, which I think, yeah, if you put an understudy of a 20-year-old underneath Jose Martinez, I mean, that's, you know, that it might not be the best look in terms of for Jose Martinez. He would be, I mean, yes, he would be motivated, highly motivated in that sense, but it would be a little strange.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to put that iron in the fire underneath Jose Martinez quite like that. But
Right.
yeah, and they're a team that isn't, in terms of the total market value, that high in terms of yeah, it's like $5.86 million in terms of their actual squad value, and conversely, ours is a lot more than that. And so it will be one of those things where it kind of is a little David versus Goliath, but it also is, they're in mid-season form essentially, and we are in really drab preseason form in a sense. So, that will be something that we will have to contend with. But if we are able to advance, this will be, of course, only the first leg, but we will move on to the quarterfinals, and those are scheduled to be played as a home-and-home series as well, April 27th through 29th, and also May 4th through 6th. And so if we do advance, we could play either Philadelphia or Saprissa. So, yes, definitely let's get into some players to watch for Alajuelense. They have some strikers that are in some good double-digit scoring form. Jonathan Moya, their center forward, has 12 goals. Marcel Hernandez, another center forward, has 11 goals. And then Jurgens Montenegro, as previously stated, he has 8 goals. So, yeah, I mean, they are spreading it around. They are dangerous. And that will be something that we'll have to contend with for sure. Of course, for us, Jose Martinez, that's just 2021 watch for sure, and how he does. I would pretty much guess that he would be starting, but we shall see. Possibly Licha Lopez might get a start.
Right.
That's another guy to watch as well. Ezequiel Barco was in good form in preseason, scoring some goals, scoring some free kicks as well, or a free kick, but still, yes, definitely. Guys that are, I think kind of clicking. And, of course, our other DP, Marcelino Moreno, is someone that's definitely maybe not on the score sheet wise or assist sheet, but definitely has been tearing it up on that left side. A little bit different of a role this season, not the central midfielder that we saw him play last season. So, Marc, take it away on their injury report for Alajuelense?
So the only major injury that they have is Andres Gomez, one of their center forwards. He ruptured his ACL, so he will be out until about July this year. He's already missed 26 matches. For Atlanta United, the only major injury that we have right now is Matias Josetsu. We're not really sure what that injury is, but we assume that it will keep him out of this, out of both legs of versus Alajuelense. So. Yeah, I think both players are going to be boasting close to a full squad for this, and should make it even more intriguing.
Definitely, for sure. And of course, if Alan Franco is finally announced at some point, he also probably will not be available. So, right. I think if anyone has any questions about that, yeah, it's very, very unlikely. I put that as like 0.01% that he actually is able to play. But right. Let's move on to their kind of past formations, and it seems like they play a 4-4-2 with Hernandez and Venegas up top, at least recently. Seems like Montenegro is a guy maybe off the bench at times, or maybe a spot starter. But yeah, these two up top, like we said, definitely are dangerous. But yeah, it seems like they keep it very kind of straightforward, 4-4-2. Everyone knows their role in that kind of way. And, yeah, it'll definitely be probably something pretty hard to break down, especially, we'll see how they will set up to play at home. Are they going to be one of those type of teams that will want to, play like the home team? Or will they want to, kind of see how we can, maybe gift them through maybe errors or mistakes in our build-up play. So we shall see. That will be very interesting to prognosticate. But speaking of guessing and predicting, let's get into our predicted starting 11 for this match. And let's get through the lines together. So, take it away on goalkeeper and defense, Marc.
Right. So goalkeeper, of course, we expect Guzan to retain his usual spot. In terms of the back line, I think we're in agreement that Bello, Walks, and Robinson will probably get the start. Right back is where we differ. I have Brooks Lennon starting at right back. I think that he's shown solid form. If you follow this, throughout the 2020 season, you know that I'm personally a fan of Lennon. So yeah, I think that with Lennon and Bello, you get both fullbacks really getting forward, contributing to the attack, and I get the sense that that's what Intel wants. However, you have Ronald Hernandez starting at right back.
Yes, I have Ronald Hernandez. I feel like definitely in terms of maybe more defensively sound, I think he's of the two kind of more of the defensive guy, and so I think we'll away from home, I think play it a slightly more safer, even though, I think Ronald Hernandez has the ability to play make from right back as well. So, yeah, it will be a different look. But I think, Lennon, although, yes, has been in really good form in preseason. So, we'll see who starts there. I give Hernandez the nod there. But let's get into the midfield. And I think, we're both going for a 4-3-3. Although it's kind of more, a fluidity type of thing in this 4-3-3. So this midfield does have three in it. But Marc, for you, who do you have?
So my midfield is comprised of Sosa, Ibarra, and Barco. And so I think Barco, of course, will kind of be a 10. I mean, in the 4-3-3, it's not quite that, but he'll definitely be the furthest forward, right? Definitely be trying to get on the ball, trying to create for the players and for himself. Sosa, we expect to be at the base, protecting the back line, starting attacks. And I think that Ibarra, with his profile, he's seems to be a box-to-box type. Certainly is going to bring energy. And this is for me where I have Ibarra in here for almost a little bit of pragmatism, because because I have Lennon in there. I expect the fullbacks to get forward. So I think Ibarra is going to be covering a lot of space in behind, going to help with recovering the ball. So that's my thinking behind this midfield three.
Yeah. That's a great shout. I think for me, I think it's going to be Barco as well. Yeah, playing that kind of 10 role for sure. I think kind of more of the tip of that kind of possible triangle-ish or maybe staggered just slightly. But Sosa, yes, as that defensive midfielder, yeah, I think a lot of play has gone through him when he's been on the pitch for Atlanta United. So I suspect that will be what is going to happen, and that will help us really, I think, connect our lines. But I think Heinemann will be that guy instead of Ibarra. I think he's a little bit more match fit. Ibarra did come a little later in the preseason, so I suspect maybe in terms of the very first match, it will not be Ibarra, and Heinemann instead has been that little bit of a connector as well for us in preseason. And so definitely another guy that has an eye for goal. So hopefully, we get some goals, because that will be very, very necessary for away goals in this tournament. But let's get into that forward line then. So what do you got?
So up top, got Moreno, Martinez, and Jurgen Damm. We've seen Moreno play on the left a lot this preseason. I'm intrigued to see how he adjusts to that role. I think on the right side, I think the right wing is going to be an interesting position for Atlanta United this season, because I think you have like a few candidates, but no out and out nailed on starter as of yet anyway. But I do think Jurgen Damm with his pace, the fans call him Flash. I think his pace on the right is going to be very useful. I think towards the end of last season too, he started to show a little more confidence in terms of taking players on. So I would definitely like to see that. And of course, Joseph, I think he gets to start for this one. I wouldn't be surprised if he's subbed by the 60th minute. So I definitely expect to see Lopez at some point, Lisandro Lopez, that is. Yeah, that's what I have for my forward line. Also interesting to see if Eric Lopez gets in this match at all, because, he's shown some promise, I think, and, he can definitely make a contribution. But yeah.
Definitely. I agree with all that. Eric Lopez definitely, I think, deserves a start. It's just a matter of where right now. Licha Lopez, I would not be surprised as well if maybe he started. But I think I also have Joseph Martinez. And then Jurgen Damm on the right. He's been, I think it's been up and down in terms of a preseason for him. Mulroney actually, I think, has possibly played better. But I think it's a matter of, I think out and out, who's going to be the starter? It seems more like Jurgen Damm will be, but if we go by form, maybe Mulroney deserves a start. He has been hot in preseason, and maybe you kind of ride that hot hand and, allow the players that have been, I think, deserving of the spot to play. And so, it could go either way for me, and that's 50-50 pretty much. I'm good with either one if they start. So, but let's get into what we'd like to see the team do in this game. I think for me, it's definitely play with that verticality that we know that they will be doing. Be clinical in front of goal. We haven't really quite been, quite as much during this preseason. Definitely against Charleston Battery. It was definitely a little bit of a different story, but that was, I think, a team that had been 3 days into their preseason. So it's, I think you take that with a caveat. But, we'll expect them to press high, counter press when we lose the ball. And we should watch out for that ball over the top. But I think, with Miles Robinson back there and hopefully healthy, we should be pretty covered. So, we should be good. And it's just making sure that space behind those fullbacks, when they do go forward, is covered. And that will be key. But anything that you like to see them do particularly in this game?
I definitely want to see that counter press. I definitely expect a fair amount of pressing. I am curious to see how they're able to maintain that and really adjust as the match goes along. I imagine they're not going to have the fitness to press for 90 minutes.
Right.
And then, I imagine that we will see some playing out of the back. I do expect Alajuelense to press and force mistakes. And so that composure is going to be key. So I'm really looking for... trying to win the ball high up the pitch, but also generally speaking, just the composure. It's going to be a tough match, and I think that limiting the damage, I guess, or limiting mistakes, really, is going to be a key part of getting through this particular leg.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, I think with a team that's in really, really good form, if we go down, we need to keep our heads up. We need to not exacerbate the issue. And hopefully we can do that. But that gets us to our score prediction. And Marc, what do you have?
Yeah, I mean, look, I alluded to this yesterday in my tweet that Alajuelense have not lost since November. And they've been a good team for the last couple of years. Like, they finished first in the 2019 Apertura as well as last year's Apertura. So I think that Atl Utd will lose the game. I'm hoping it's only like a 2-1 kind of score. I think the away goal is the most important thing. And if they can limit the deficit to 1 goal before bringing it back home, I think that's job done. So my prediction here is 2-1 to the opponents. And I think we take that result.
Yeah, likewise, unfortunately, I feel like, yes, it's a 2-1 loss. But yes, like you were saying, that away goal, super important, but also I think, it's a team that we should be beating in 2 legs. And then I think, yes, ultimately we should have the goods to be able to beat them in the Champions League. And so, yes, hopefully that is the case, but auspicious start it would be if this was the scoreline. Yeah, let us know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments below. Maybe you are more optimistic than we are. But anyway, let's wrap that baby up for the match preview, and let's get into the question of the day. And so the question of the day is, which player do you think will be the most surprising for this season for Atlanta United? Let us know in the comments below. Are you looking forward to some players that, maybe are kind of in the underdog position and maybe could, rise up into a starting position? Could it be a George Campbell? Could it be a Franco Ibarra that's, maybe not the out-and-out starter, maybe could be a guy that gets into the first team and, really makes a case for himself? Let us know in the comments below. But anyway, guys, that is the show. And remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. For Marc, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.